So, moving on. I don't know if you guys all know Trevor yet. Some of you guys, I'm sure you spent the last, 10 weeks, whatever the hell it was. I met Trevor, just a little background, with the Jackals back in 03, 4. I played against him. He played for the Albany Colony Diamond Dogs. I hit like 600 off him. That was easy. No, I don't know what the heck I hit off him. I did pretty well, but yeah, I met Trevor. I met him on the road and then got to become friends with him when he played for the Jackals. Introduced him to his wife, who still gives me heat for that. They've been together for what now? You gotta be about 20 years. Long time.
17 years.
But he'll give you a little background on himself. Played 11 seasons in professional baseball. He had his own facility similar to this. Been doing lessons since his professional career started. I don't even know before that, maybe when he was up in Vermont. And then from there, we just built a good relationship. And one thing we have that we've done a lot of is kind of feeding off each other. You know, I learn a lot from him, and I'm going to sit down and hopefully learn a little bit more tonight. And vice versa, I believe. And, you know, that's the best thing that I've had, is fortunate to be able to work alongside somebody who's, I guess, as easygoing as me when it comes to coaching the game of baseball, but so hungry to learn more about it. So we've always been in touch, obviously kept a very close baseball relationship, and hopefully you guys get a little bit of knowledge out of that coconut of his, because it's all up there. It might come out a little bit rattled, but you're gonna get a little piece of it. All right?
So Trevor Marca, I played 11 years of professional baseball. I played at Division I, University of Vermont. I coached Division I NCAA for 2 years. I took a team with a 12.9 ERA and brought it down in 1 year to a 5.9 and 2 years to a 2.9. Simple, just putting in the work. Tonight I want to talk a lot about pitching. You know, arguably, no offense hitters, the most important position on the field, without a doubt. You know, whether you're talking about, you know, an 8, 9, 10-year-old ability to throw a strike, or someone in the big leagues controlling the game. Pitching is arguably the most important part of the game. A big issue that I find in youth is they don't ever do it. They don't ever do it. And then, I want to pitch. Okay, they got to pitch. They get on the mound, they don't do well. And everyone's like, oh, they're a pretty good player. Why didn't they do well? Well, they never practiced it. Throwing once a week is not practicing. You know, a couple of you have been through some of my programs. Something I'm trying to instill in the coaches is how to practice without pitching. Can you pitch every day? Absolutely not. And that's not realistic. You'll get hurt. You can't do it every day. But you can throw every day, and you should throw every day. Why not? Getting loose doesn't hurt your arm. Yeah, overextending it, pitching every day is something you can't do. So what I try to instill, and I did with the college kids, just the same as I do with all my kids, we really stress flat ground work. Flat ground work, and it is just what it sounds like. Flat ground, short, and you go through pitching mechanics. I've broken it down to a few different drills. And, you know, we have the clinic, you've seen it. That's what it is. It's not some magic nugget. It's not we're not building rockets here. We're throwing a baseball. And if a kid never throws a baseball, how can you expect them to throw a baseball in a game? And I'm hoping those kids that I've taken through that pitching clinic, they take it with them. You know, they're at practice. All right, let's go take 10 minutes and go practice our pitching. It's not something that takes forever. It's not 12 guys taking batting practice. It's on your youth team, 6, 8 guys maybe pitch. Line them up, take 10 minutes out, have them go through a little pitching routine with each other. I mean, mechanics are different. When you talk about teaching them mechanics, you know, you really, there's some things out there you could look at, YouTube, getting to certain positions, and knowledge of the mechanics that you can take them through. And I'll take you through a couple tonight just so you can see it. But getting them to actually throw a baseball to you. I have these two kids who come in, and they're great kids. And they're young. This game has to remain fun, otherwise they're not going to play when they get older. You know, I'm a very hard coach on kids. With that said, I like to keep everything fun. I expect a lot out of a kid, which every coach should. But with that expectation, it has to be made fun, because as soon as it stops being fun, that's it. You know when it stopped becoming fun for me? 34 years old. That's pretty good. That's a long, long career. You know, that day came where I was like, all right, time to do something else. But till I was 34 years old, I woke up in the morning and just a big smile on my face. I get to go to the baseball field today. That's what I'm doing today. And that ended eventually. And that's okay. You know, life moves on. But with kids, it's the same thing. That ends at 8 years old. They're not going to play when they're 12. They're not going to play in high school. They're not going to play in junior high. So keeping this game fun for the kids is really important. I was going, these two kids that come in, we make it fun. They come in and we play catch. Play a little game. Stupid. We did it in pro ball. 1 point for the chest, 2 point for the head. And you play to 15, you play to 12. Well, they're playing catch. Now they're caring about playing catch. They made it a fun little game. Because kids get out there when they play catch, which they do often, and they're messing around, throwing the ball all over the place. I tell all my kids, you could shoot the shit with your neighbor, with your buddy, everyone's talking, but that actual motion of throwing should be taken very seriously, and you should care about it. You can talk with your buddy, right? Hey, what'd you do last night? Oh, hey, play that Xbox game. It's all good and fun, but when I actually, boom, throw the ball, that actual few seconds of throwing should be taken very seriously. The greatest way to fix a habit, fix a bad habit, or create a bad habit is when you're playing catch. You play catch every day, right? Well, hypothetically, I mean, the kids probably don't play catch every day, but as much as they can, they play catch a lot. Well, that's where a habit's going to be fixed or created. So stressing to them to take that actual throwing of getting loose seriously is very important. Very important. You know, practicing of the pitching. Like I said, I break it down into a few different drills, and I'm going to show you guys a video in a minute. You know, pitching really begins at balance point. So everything we do kind of gets there, and that's right here, having a strong back leg. And that's simple stuff you can teach your kids when you put them in flat ground. You don't have to get into all these drills that are so specific, but just getting into a balance point and not stepping towards your target, but sliding towards your target. Those are two very simple things that you could get a kid to understand while going through their practice pitching, their flat ground work. Just on YouTube, just typed in pitching mechanics and woo, it popped up. Lance Lynn, great mechanics. Gets to that nice balance, gets to that nice power. Stays back, stays closed. Show them this stuff. Kids are amazing people. They're sponges. But the thing is the light bulb comes on for each kid at a different time. My best lesson, and I talk about him all the time, he was an 8-year-old. He came in to see me at 7 or 8. Too small, they won't let me pitch. But I'm gonna pitch. Okay, dude, I'll teach you. We ran through the drills. I had him for 10 years. He pitched in D3. Throwing 84, 85 miles an hour. They wouldn't let him pitch. He didn't pitch until he was 11. But he wanted to pitch. I get it, stuff like that can be expensive, but they can get the same thing out of it by using some of the other resources. He came in and he pitched. He hit puberty, became 5'10", and he was throwing mid-80s. You know, pitching at a young age, the most important thing is obviously throwing a strike. So the ability to do that, whether your mechanics are good or not, go back to the practicing. Go back to the practicing. I don't know the situation of each team, and each team is different, but how you go about doing that is make it a priority. Give the dads homework. I don't know. Go play catch with your kid 3 times a week and force them to throw strikes. And that's kind of, I lean on it with the college kids. I didn't get a whole different set of kids. I didn't go out and recruit studs in New Jersey. I had what I had, and that's what we worked with. And all we did is work on executing pitches every day, day in and day out, and it showed you'll get the results on the field. You're gonna see it with the kids in this pitching clinic that came to the clinic for what, 9 weeks? 8 weeks? They went through that. You're gonna see the results. Even if their mechanics aren't so much better, they're gonna throw the ball where they want to because they've been doing it for 8 weeks. So finding the time to do that's important if you want to see a difference in your pitchers. Concerns? Yes.
For the younger kids, would you shorten the length so instead of going 46?
Absolutely.
Comfortable at
Yeah,
30,
absolutely.
35?
Absolutely. Guys, pitch, and that's the point of it too, flat ground. So a big field, 60 feet, 6 inches, I do 40-foot flat ground work. If you go to any big league game, early, hit it before the guys hit, before BP, the pitchers are gonna be out there 40 feet, going through their mechanics, throwing their flat ground work. Pitching is probably more mental than baseball, than hitting, because you're up there and you're throwing, well, hypothetically 100 pitches, 80 pitches, whatever it be. You're throwing a lot of pitches. Well, at bats, you might see 6, 7, you might get 3 or 4 at bats a game. Pitching, you're throwing 80, 90, 100 pitches. When is the pitcher screwed? When he goes, oh, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? As soon as the pitcher thinks that in his head, he's in trouble. So the mental aspect, when you're up closer, what goes through everyone's mind? Everyone's a human being. Oh man, yeah, I can throw it to you. You're 15 feet away, sure, no problem. Boom, hits you right in the chest. Now I do that, that's easy. If you can, and your job is to convince the kid, as soon as I come back to here, now I come back to here, what's the difference? Focus in on my spot, boom, 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 hit my spot. It's the same thing. The mental aspect of the game is huge. And when you talk to the kids about small things and those small adjustments, pitching, how many adjustments would you make when you're in one at bat? How many adjustments would you say you could make?
You're going to make an adjustment per pitch. Patient at bat, you're talking about pitch count, you're talking about what the count is to you, to make an adjustment.
Right. So would you say 5 at most in one at bat adjustments that you could make during that at bat?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not seeing 100 pitches.
Well, right.
Stay in there
In one at
forever.
bat, say you see 7, 8, 9 pitches, you might make 5 different adjustments depending
Sure.
on things.
Sure.
As a pitcher,
And I don't want to.
but no, you don't want
So,
to. Fair.
I don't want to.
As a pitcher, I'm up there, and say I throw 100 pitches, I'd be willing to bet I make 20 adjustments if I'm throwing well. If I'm not throwing well, I might make 40 adjustments. Small, little incremental adjustments, simple adjustments. Get out in front. Stay back a little better. Stay closed a little better. Very simple, easy things to think about and do, because as soon as you complicate things, like again, what am I doing wrong? Oh, you're screwed. You have no chance at throwing the ball where you want to on the mound as soon as the pitcher goes, what am I doing wrong? So keeping that mental aspect of being able, that goes back to the practice. When you're up closer, God, everyone's mind's the same. We're the same thing. We go up there, you know, let's throw a ball, win a toy. Oh, we're up close, man, that's easy. As soon as you want the big toy, you gotta go back. Well, it gets a little harder in our mind. In reality, it's not. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, and that's the concept with flat ground, and it's proven. It's flat out proven to work. One of my lessons, he sent me a text message this morning. He threw a 9-pitch inning, struck 2 guys out. Came into me, look, he was decent, 12-year-old. Threw an okay fastball, kind of all over the place. So we started with the drills. Bang, his kid's student, loves it. Student. Throw changeup, not very good. All right, well, we're gonna learn changeup. Well, I wanna learn a breaking ball. Nah, we're not gonna learn a breaking ball. Let's learn a changeup first. So we started working on a changeup. And he asking me questions, loved it. So I said, dude, you're an individual. Some of this stuff you gotta figure out on your own. Adjust the ball a little bit. Get out in front, slap that catcher, pronate. Try these things. You have to try some things and find out what works for you. I can give you the general idea of it, but the practice that he was putting in. So he threw a couple and they're pretty good. I'm like, dude, that's pretty good. He goes, all right. He comes back the next week. He's like, yeah, I tried this. It worked. It worked. I'm like, all right, let's try it. He did it. Looked good again. I'm like, nice. I go, so let me ask you. Before you came in here, you told me your changeup was crap. Didn't work. Did you ever practice it? No? Well, why would you think you never practice it and then, because coach calls the pitches, you never had real good results with it? You never practiced it. So, he threw, what did he throw? Like 4 changeups the other day. Perfect. Like, that's his breaking ball now. What's a pitcher's job?
Keep it
When I'm throwing a ball to you, what am I trying to keep you? Well, a couple
Guessing it off
things.
balance.
But there's no. Keep him
two.
off balance. So hitting is all about timing. My job is to disrupt that timing. Ask any good hitter in the world, they're going to give you probably 2 answers. What's the toughest pitch to hit in baseball? A good changeup or a good slider?
Change up, low and away.
Change up?
You could tell me it's coming. I'm not hitting it.
Yeah. So kids in their mind, they never throw it, so they never see it. They're always like, breaking ball, I want to throw breaking ball. Oh, look at that little league breaking ball. Little leaguers can't hit breaking balls. Well, think about what do hitters get taught as they get older, the good hitters? Boom, in. What do they see a ton of? Breaking balls. Same thing, the more you see something, now they see they don't know what to do with a changeup. Don't throw changeups to righties. You know how many righties I made look silly in pro ball with a changeup? It was the same concept. So they practice. I'm a huge component of the changeup before breaking ball. And this kid's a prime example. He came in and had, just from practicing, I mean, it's not like he's been seeing me years. He came in 10 times. 10 times. And they sent me a text message yesterday. I was pretty psyched to hear about it. But just a kid putting in the work. You know, pitching's no different than anything. Putting in the work. And you as coaches need to find time to have them do that. And it's not, all right, practice, kids, jump up on a mound and pitch. That's not what it is. It's getting it into a routine, having them do their flat ground work. Does everyone pretty much understand what flat ground work is? Yes? Flat ground work? Okay, so flat ground work, let me explain what that is a little bit. So let's use little kids, 45 feet's the mound. So get them in about 38 feet-ish. It doesn't have to be perfect. Have them play catch together, put a mound on each end, and I just have them pitch to each other. Not hard. They're not trying to throw it through the person. They're not going to strike anyone out. They're just working on their body, working on going through the right things, and then working on throwing the ball to their target. That's practice pitching. That's how you practice pitching. Finding a routine for them and a platform for them to do that, you'll see huge adjustments. You'll see huge growth at a small age. Even at a high school age, the kids don't do it. They jump out there and you know. But I bet you all the good programs do.
Well, we have 3 that are going to pitch in college.
Nice. That's pretty good. Again, there I'll stop. Is there anything specific you guys want to hear about pitching?
I would say just off of the flat ground work, as far as like progressions and stuff, because like even, you know, I've been in 2 different colleges and they both did everything completely different. I mean, completely different as far as how they started their flat ground work, what they expected of their pitchers. Now, once they implemented their plan, once they had it in place, they expected their pitchers to do it. Mm-hmm. That was an expectation. But like you're fortunate to work with the kids for 8 weeks. They come in the 8th week and it looks like it's a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. But it's the sequence that you built into their brain of what they have to do. Mm-hmm. That being said, like what would be the right way to go about formatting a program? Because I've seen it different even at the higher level.
Well, let's be honest, we're probably a little time crunched, and we don't want to make it too complicated. So I would probably break it down into two simple drills, and that's power and then balance the power, the drills I do a kid. So power position is very simple. First one, we show the center field of the ball above elbow, elbow above shoulder. Second one, we got our gun, we need our scope, elbow up. You want to make sure both your elbows are aiming at your target. Good separation. Your shoulder blades may come together ever so slightly. Third, feet together. Left foot inch off the ground. You just slide and throw. Again, this is a drill. This is a pass-through point. Pitchers pass through this point. We're breaking it down, having them start from that position. So that's one, power position. Two is balance to power. So keep in mind, strong back leg, balance to power, and then go. Again, first done like a robot. First done like a robot. Get the actual motion comfortable in their minds. And then once that becomes really simple for the kid, again, it'll happen at different times. Now it's a pass through. It's a pass through. So the drill, how I do the drill in my old age and wisdom is I get here, I hold balance for a second, working on that strong back leg, then I go. Then I go. Now it puts it all together and it's a pass through, and that's ultimately what becomes your mechanics. From those drills, it can get more complicated, but first things first, they need to get those two motions down pat. Staying back, keeping your chest on your back leg as long as possible, which will create a little tilt. Another thing, staying closed. You hear about staying closed all the time. Pointing your heel towards home plate. Staying closed. So when you throw, slow motion, here I am, closed, closed, closed. Now when I'm ready to throw, everything needs to open up. That's how it progresses. Towel drill, another great drill. So the whole idea is you don't always need to throw a ball to get better. All right, so you grab a towel, you grab it just like a baseball. And so I want you to look at two things. So let's do it here while you guys are looking at me. So if I'm getting in my motion and here I am, come up, boom, boom, boom. Look at my foot. Look at the towel. Look at my foot. Watch my foot. Watch my foot. What happened to the towel? Got a lot closer, right? Got a lot closer. When we throw a baseball, we want our chest over our front side. Okay, we want to get as much extension as we can. There is such thing as overextension, but again, this is a drill. If reality is right here, but we work on this drill and we're getting out here, reality is going to be that much further. Does that make sense? So, as a towel drill, all I did was take these kids, they were up there throwing like this. And I'm sitting there looking at them, I'm going, all right guys, let's grab the towel here for 5 minutes and let's just run through the towel drill. And this is how it's actually done. You get a partner out there with a glove. Bear with me, my old decrepit body here.
I won't go too far back.
And you just have them go through the motion, boom, boom, whip the glove. So I got the glove, he goes back a step. So boom, now I extend even further. And he goes back even further. I find my spot where I'm out there as much as I can, and then I do 10 of them. Very simple. And that's practicing extension, getting your chest above your leg. Great drill to do for kids. Because that famous saying that not all, I'm knocking a little bit, but I don't mean to. All youth coaches say that none of them know what it means. Use your legs, use your legs. And kids are going, what do you mean? Well, I don't really know, but I know you're supposed to. So that's what that means. That's how you use your legs. You get to drive with your legs. Yes?
So I work with like 8, 9-year-olds
Mm-hmm.
on the team, and some of them are dropping their elbows.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend like a one knee drill or a big circle?
One knee drill is fine. I like power position for that. So if they're dropping their elbows, have them start right here. Start right here. Start right here. Bang. Elbows up. Elbows up. Go behind them. Put your finger in their back. If you raise your elbows up and it's at your target, your shoulder blades crunch together ever so slightly. So good separation. Raise your elbows. Your shoulder blades come together. Have them know what that feels like. Get right to here. Slide and throw right from there. And then when you break it down, balance the power, they need to know that as their knee goes, their hands need to go with their knee, right? Hands, knee, and when they come down and travel through, they got to get that good separation. So when you say good separation, they'll know what that means. They'll know I got to get my elbows up. I got to get my elbows up. I had a lefty come in the other day. Looked pretty decent. He was throwing like this. He would come up. I'm going, all right, dude, you need to get your elbows up. So all I did was break it down into this position, had him do 10 of them, and then work on that from his real mechanics. It was okay, but it was 5 minutes. You know, I didn't have a session with him. This was a team going through there. But he got better in 2 seconds just by going through that drill.
So like we could say separation, elbows up, and stay on top of the ball. Is that?
Well, that towel drill. So when you stay on top of the ball, now you're talking about front side. So when our elbows are up, you don't want to come across. This is bad most of the time, unless you're in the big leagues throwing 96 and no one's messing with you. Typically, elbows up, you want to drive your elbow through. People teach it different ways, chest to glove. I always liked, and it made more sense to me, drive my elbow through. Drive my elbow through my side, creating this tilt, throwing the ball downhill versus here. Another thing, that could be elbow dropping, throwing the ball uphill. So if they're down here and they're throwing up the hill, that's bad too. That's where the ball above elbow, elbow above shoulder, throwing downhill. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, this one particular case was like slinging the ball from the side. It's like,
Well, here's something I tell the kids all the time. Derek Jeter, everyone knows who Derek Jeter is. We're in the New York, New Jersey area. We all know Derek Jeter can throw from here, right? How do you think Derek Jeter gets up to get loose? Just like every pitcher. You know, he's capable of throwing all these angles as an infielder. That's not how he gets loose. He gets loose and gets going, and then he practices his arm angles. And getting kids to know that. So Craig and I here, we talk a lot about, on that topic, about being an athlete. So at a youth age, kids play a lot of different positions. And this goes back to the education of the kid watching baseball and understanding baseball a little bit. I get it, it's not life and we need to keep it fun, but having them understand that a catcher throws different than a pitcher that throws different than a shortstop. So if a kid's playing shortstop, they need to understand that they may have to do things at shortstop that are a little unorthodox to what they're going to do on the mound. And we talk a lot about what an athlete is. Well, an athlete's very simple. It's the ability to control your body. So the best athletes usually are the stars, right? The ones who can control their body better than the others. And I think kids like myself, I learn things better when I understand. I vary blindly in life today, at my job today. If someone tells me to do something, if my boss tells me to do something, I don't go, yes, sir, whatever. I go, why? Why? I want to understand something. When I understand something, I can do it better. And I feel like kids are very much the same. That light bulb goes on at different times for them. But if you're around kids enough, like I have been for 20 plus years, you'll see a kid and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, damn, he got it. We've been working for a year and a half, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they come in and they got it. So I really like explaining things. I wish we could do this Q&A different. Like I could blurb a bunch of stuff out to you. You could kind of go work in a little bit and then come back with questions. Hey, I found this, I found that. What do you suggest? I think that would be beneficial. Yes, sir.
I have some kids who start turning or start their throw before the landing foot.
Before they land?
Exercise, or what kind of drills would you recommend?
Before they land?
Yeah.
So
They're already starting to throw before they, just
just a smidge before. Well, I think driving your heel would be good. Would be good. Another drill I used to like to do, and I did it before. Usually before I started, is I would go to the back side of the mound. So my plant foot was up in the air, and I would just rock back, plant, and then throw. Another good one is just getting your legs spread out, making sure we're transferring our weight back and forth. You're in ready position. Don't lift your feet. Weight back, arms up, throw, and follow through. getting your legs going, getting used to throwing as that foot is planted on the ground. And that's a tough thing to see. You must have put them on video to see that.
Like you don't catch it when you slow motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen some other places where they train their pitchers, because I follow my pitchers when they go to their own private instructor, so I can continue their lesson, so I don't want to change what they're learning.
Absolutely.
I see some instructors actually, in the starting, put their foot halfway up on the mound, almost beveling the foot in, the knee in, where I usually don't do that. I leave the flat ground up against the mound. What is your take on that kind of position setup?
I'm not quite understanding.
They're actually up on the mound a little bit, so they're actually,
Oh.
it's harder to balance. And
Yeah, no, I don't like that at all. And it's tough for a professional pitcher in this case too, because let's be honest, all you professional pitchers out there, we're pompous. We get these mounds that people get paid a lot of money to fix. That's not the case with youth. The youth play on shitty fields, shitty mounds. There's big holes. So
Some don't have mouths.
I believe you want to be in the hole, and I teach a lot with the windup. And again, we want to keep things simple for our kids. So kids that pitch from the stretch, first off, I believe being in the hole is better. You want, everything really starts at balance position. Well, you want your foot on as much flat ground as can be to get the best balance position you can get, which is right here. So for the windup, keeping that in mind, what I like to do is we're on a shitty mound again. So our heels on the rubber, toes down in the hole. Whether that hole's this big or this big, doesn't matter. So now we're here, okay? And not being straight on. Get to a 45-degree angle. All throwing from the windup is his rhythm. It's rhythm. Here I am. Small step pivot. Kids are doing this, stepping back. I've stated many times tonight, pitching really starts at the balance position. Well, think about how hard it is to get to balance position from right here. I've just shifted all my weight back. Now I need to pivot this into that crappy hole we just talked about. Now spin my whole leg around. It's just not repeatable. So we like to keep it really simple. 45-degree angle, small step pivot up into balance. The whole time I kept my weight above my legs, which is the key. We're trying, when we're pitching, what are we trying to do? We're trying to be a robot. We're trying to repeat everything we do, assuming it was a good pitch. So, does that make sense?
Now, for my team, should I just separate the pitchers and have them work with each other doing that drill?
Well, absolutely. When you're talking about youth, why couldn't we make it a team thing? We could.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like before a game. I mean, during the practices, have everybody work together, but I know like, the kids I know are going to throw that day. Take them, let them throw on the side, while the team's doing regular warm-up.
Yeah, I see no issue with that. You know, when we're talking about practices, especially at a young age, we don't really know how people are going to develop. And let's be honest, throwing a ball from point A to point B can be challenging for whether they're a pitcher or not. So the more you force kids to focus on that actual motion of throwing and make them try to throw properly, the better off they're going to be.
And their throw day, what are some things that they should be doing aside from running?
So
'Cause I'm at the high school level.
right, that's where I'm trying to go. So high school level. So they're going to throw Saturday and Saturday. When are they throwing?
They're
And what are they throwing?
Probably throwing Monday and Saturday, if depending on where they are, or Monday and Monday.
So starting pitcher.
Yes.
So things they could do. Well, long throwing. And don't let me forget that, but we're going to go to long throw. Long throwing is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So kids at a youth age, they all I watch them daily. They get loose. From you to me, right here. You guys good? Yep, we're good to go. Let's go, time to go. And then they're out there in the outfield trying to throw it to home. So they got loose at 35 feet, and now they're trying to throw a ball 120 feet. The progression in throwing, you should get as far as you can get. Long throwing is very, very crucial to baseball at all levels. Kids don't do it. They go from the small field to the big field and they struggle tremendously. one of the main reasons they do it is they've never thrown the distance, not even in getting loose. So when you do a throwing program with kids, making sure they extend it out, of all levels, even in high school, they extend it out. And not enough kids do that. So on that, things we do in between starts, your flat ground work. You should do your flat ground work. So I would do my flat ground work the 2 days before. Light toss, flat ground. Little heavier toss, flat ground. Bullpen. I don't know how you do your bullpens in between.
It depends on the week, because it's so inconsistent in high school, because sometimes you'll have 2 games a week, and sometimes we'll hit 5 in a week. Depending on,
So that's tough. You need to be able to maneuver. But a standard one would be light toss, flat ground, little heavier toss, flat ground, long throw, bullpen, light toss, flat ground, pitch.
Okay, so the same thing on the front of your bullpen as on the back of the bullpen, except for the heavy toss.
Yeah, and early in the week, you want to do your jobs, your arm work, your bands and small weights. Yep. Do those day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Lay off them to get ready to pitch.
So no body blade or gyro day 4, day 4
Yep.
or 5. Okay.
Yep. And again, as pitchers get older, they find their own routine.
Yeah.
I know you have to structure it as a coach now, but as they get older, each routine's going to vary ever so slightly. There's a generalization, but ever so slightly, people find what works for them. But that would be a solid place to start.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you feel about warming up with a heavy ball?
So, at a young age, I'm absolutely against weighted balls. I don't think kids are responsible enough to do it right. I've gone through a couple heavy ball routines, workouts, programs, and I did them in college and in pro ball. I'm very in the middle. At a young age, I'd say no. I don't, again. Yeah, if they could do it, once they get to a certain age, if they can do it very structured, I could see some benefit to it. At 8, 9, 10 years old, I don't see that being.
No pronating or change-ups with the weighted ball, though, right?
No. These are weight ball programs.
I had to pull a kid actually yesterday because he had an 8-ounce ball trying to throw a change-up. What the hell are you doing?
But again, that's a kid being a kid is what that is. And it has to be very structured, and there's purpose for it. A lot of the weighted ball is not only to strengthen your shoulder, your forearm, your core, a lot of these weighted ball programs. Yes.
What's funny about that is I went to the coaches convention, the one up in Mohegan two years ago, and J.A. Happ was there, and they asked him, one of the people in the stands, one of the coaches said, how do you feel about weighted balls and programs for that? He goes, when did you start using weighted balls? And Happ just looked at me and goes, I'm not a doctor, I wouldn't know. He's like, I just got introduced to weighted balls like last year. And it was one of those things where he's like, I would never recommend it because we've all seen the injuries happen to kids that just do stupid things. We were boneheaded kids too, but to pick up like a waterlogged ball, that's basically what it is, and start firing that thing around. There's a reason that they're built, and they're built at different levels, and it should be very, very structured, in my opinion, even from an infield, outfield standpoint, because that can cause some real bad. And we also talk about guys who don't have the right mechanics. They're not using their legs to throw those things. You're just putting a lot of pressure on a lot of joints, ligaments, tendons, and stuff.
There's a lot of weighted ball programs I did were for your legs and core. When I was 25 years old, I did some for my arm. I guess maybe it's a product of the time. There wasn't much. It was just starting to gain some steam as I was coming through. Like I said, I'm not against it so much at a certain age and very structured, but I'm not that for it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Definitely at a young age, I would say just steer clear. There's no need. Craig and I talk a lot about kids coming in here. One of my early spiels is the purpose for coming to these places. A purpose for an 8-year-old. We talk about keeping it fun all the time. A purpose for an 8-year-old. It's about development. It's about getting better. Guys, I don't give a shit if your kid is good at 10 years old. Do you know what that means to me? Oh, I was good at 10. Man, is that what you want to say when you're 35 years old to your kid? Man, I was good when I was 10. Or do you want to say, hey, I had a good little baseball career. The progression of always getting better. And I make that very clear to parents coming in. Your kid's not here, so I can hear about how they hit 25 home runs in Little League in Podunk, Southern New Jersey. That means nothing. But to say I had a great year, I got a lot better, I really look forward to coming to these workouts, I can't wait to see how I progress. That's the purpose of doing this stuff, is to always get better. Do things uncomfortable. It's like life. It's like life, guys. What do they say in life? How do you grow as a human being? You do something that's uncomfortable. Well, think about these kids. When you're showing them some of this stuff, it doesn't feel right. It feels weird. Well, of course it does. You've thrown a certain way your entire life, and now you're trying to change that. Embrace that uncomfortableness. Make it feel comfortable. When you do that, that's when you'll see the results. There's a process to this stuff. Craig and I joke all the time. The week before the game starts, guy. Hey, I thought I'd come in for a hitting lesson. The season starts next week.
That's one guy, one lesson. That's it. He'll be ready to go.
Yeah, no, but like it's a process, guys. And even getting the kids to understand that, I mean, they're not dummies. They're a sponge. They understand things. They understand a lot more than we give them credit for. I've worked with kids for a really long time, and they will amaze you on how much they understand. And when you can get them to buy in to the progression, if you stay with them long enough, you'll be amazed at the changes you'll see in the kids that you don't see in the first 2 weeks, the first month. Get them to buy in. Get them when they leave going, man, I can't wait to come see Trevor again. Like, that's our goal as coaches. And you know, there's an art to it. There's an art to it.
I think what you said there, though, even because you asked a question before about how kids dropping his arm, but he said something earlier where it was, there's literally that day sometimes that we're working with these kids and a year could go by and it's like, wait, who are you? What have you been practicing? What's going on? And they get it a little bit more.
Usually what it is.
Because they did buy into it and there is that little extra bit. And once they feel that, it's like, holy cow. Like, they just explode into this new player. And I was just working with a couple guys today. And I even said, okay, now you understand what we had to do with your legs in order to get you to that balance point. Now, once we get your balance point, now we get into how much more explosion we could get into the basement, all these other things, and the process that comes with it. But once they do buy into it, like I was just thinking about that when you were saying it. So there are those kids at 8 and 9 years old that tuck that arm because this is not natural. There's no normal movements. These baseball movements are learned behaviors, or learned movements. And when it feels uncomfortable, kids don't do it. They do what's comfortable. So at 8 and 9, it's so difficult to crack a habit. It's not you, it's not a drill, it's not, you could sit there and put a medicine ball on the kid's shoulder and make sure he doesn't tuck his hand to him. It's not gonna necessarily fix it, but you might keep staying on him, letting him do the same drills over and over. And there might be a day where he throws the ball and it has a little zip to it and you're like, who is this kid? And it's just a matter of, because it's instilled in his head, one day his body got it, he understood, and then it's like, from there, then you could just start really building. It is tough at the younger levels, because you really try and you're like, why aren't you listening? Why can't you do it? It's like, and you try, and it's like, okay, let's make it a little bit more basic. Let's do this, let's do that. And sometimes just sticking to the same path is the right way, and just letting them get it on their own, because everybody develops at a different rate.
These two young kids I have that have fun that I was talking about earlier, they come in here and we play around. We work on things and I explain things and reinforce it, but we make a game out of everything. And they love coming in here. Mark my words. In 3 years, they're both going to be studs for their age. They love coming in here and they work on their stuff. They're all over the place. They're kids. Let them be. If they were 16, I'd be whooping their ass. They're not. They're 8. They're 8. Let them be kids. Let them have fun with it. Teach them some stuff. They'll hear it, and then one day they'll understand it. And when they do, they're going to be so much further ahead. Something that's very important to understand. Quick question, Craig. How many coaches have you had? Fair answer. I got the same one. I don't know. You want to know what makes me me? All of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
All of them. A kid is going to have a ton of coaches through his life. You're going to take a little bit from each one, and that's going to make you you. With all these mechanics and all these things we talk about, there's a real generalization of everything. You need to get to certain places. Well, everyone's an individual. Everyone's a human being. We're not all robots. Everyone's body works a little different. And embracing that is okay. I want someone here. They can only get here, and they're damn good right here. Well, you know what? That's where they're going to be. So I think that's important as a coach to know that, you know, how different kids are. But sticking with the general mechanics is very important. Allowing a little bit of leeway to let the player be the player.
There was something on MLB today, and they were talking about the draft, and they were just going over the MLB draft and how it's changed, because back in the day, you know, in football, you need a quarterback, okay? In baseball, they used to say, all right, we need a starting pitcher, or we need this, we need that. Now they just say, who's the best athlete on the board? There's no question to it. They just look and they say, let's take the best athlete and let's do what we can with them. And that's the difference, I guess, with baseball, because now they are just breeding athletes and they just put them everywhere. You know, we grew up, we grew up saying, oh, you should play every position. Learn every position. That's all we heard, but nobody really instilled that. You know, you got to a position you liked and they're like, oh, well, let him go play this and he wants to play. But now it's like, all right, I want you to learn right field today. I want you to learn. The problem that we get, like Coach Leon said it last week, we put kids in the outfield because maybe they're not the best player. You put them in right field. But if we do that, make them learn that position. Because even if they're in right field and they're not getting any action, let them learn how to back up a base. Let them learn how to hit a cutoff man. Let them learn how to get under a fly. Whatever, all those things, they all come into play. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
One big takeaway for coaches that I'd like out of this is the understanding, and I know it's kind of stupid simple. You want better results out of your pitchers? They got to practice. They got to practice pitching. And it's the flat ground work. I've had such huge results, not only for myself, for all my students, that my college kids enforced flat ground work. I took a staff of 14 college kids who had never done flat ground work before. And I'm like, you're playing Division I college and you've never done flat ground work before? The ability to practice and to do it and just to repeat it, even if it's not perfect mechanics, you'll still get a better results. And something we used to say every day, and I said it even more as I got older. As young kids were trying to take my job, I'd get up, what am I going to do to get better today? And at the end of the day, I'd be like, did I do something to get better today? And that's something I've lived my life by. And that practice pitching is something as simple as that. You know, whether, 40-foot or 32-foot flat ground work, get out there, go through the motion. Make them care about throwing that ball to the chest. I mean, at the high school level, they want to be more fine, throwing balls on the outside, inside, throwing the change-ups, even rolling the breaking stuff. But if you take nothing else away from today, I think that should be it. Because at the youth level, it's a case of they don't practice. The only time they practice is if they have a practice and they go to throw 15 pitches. All right, they practice once a week and that was their practice and that was it. They can do flat ground work every day. Every day.
I think the one thing you might have touched on, I don't really recall if you did though, but when doing the flat ground work, and I've seen you guys, again, I pitched in college. Let me tell you guys how great my career was. I had a 27 ERA, so that's how good I was. I pitched one inning against Millersville. I let up a 3-run bomb to their 4-hitter, hung a curveball. I didn't know how to pitch. I did well in high school because I could throw a little bit and had command, but I didn't know how to pitch. But the flat ground work, because I even see you do it with your programs and stuff, is you guys have guys getting down as catchers.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not necessarily just throwing to one another, hitting guys in the chest, playing a game. You want them down squatting,
Oh, yeah.
making sure they get their reps as
Catching each
catchers,
other
so they're
up.
throwing. Right, and I remember you saying if you throw the same pitch from 40 feet as you do from 60 feet, it's still going to be a strike.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And one last, go ahead.
Question about finishing the pitch,
Yes.
stiff landing leg or a little bit of flex or timing.
So
Different pitches.
So really, you want to make sure you're soft landing, stiff leg. So you want to land on your toe, but you want that firm leg. You want that firm leg. So there again, it's going to depend on who you talk to and how they explain it, but you don't want your knee locked out, but you don't want to give either. You want that strong, hard, non-locked out, straight leg, if that makes sense. But yeah, you don't want to lock your leg out, but you don't want to give. So, hope that makes sense.
Firm front side.
Firm
Just
front
not
side.
locked out.
Real quick, I'm coaching a 10-year.
Yep.
With like tournaments and stuff. I mean, I definitely can't pitch a kid twice in one weekend. But like during the week, I had one of my parents tell me, "Oh, I'm not letting him pitch any rec ball." I told him, "No, if we have a game on Sunday, if I don't pitch on a Wednesday, if he has a game, it's like a practice. At least it's like he'll get more repetition."
So,
Am I wrong saying that?
no, absolutely, but it depends on the extent of it. So, if they're going to pitch Wednesday and throw, let's do pitch counts because
Yeah, I'm a
that
big
makes
proponent
sense.
on pitch counts.
So, if on a Wednesday a kid throws 30 pitches, on the weekend, what do you want him to throw 50 pitches? No problem. No problem, but you don't want him to go Wednesday and throw 80 pitches and then come back on Saturday and throw another 80 pitches. So I just think the communication on what the expectations are and what the realistic,
So make sure all my parents keep pitch counts.
Yeah.
For their kids that are playing, when they're playing rec.
yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever.
Question for you. Did you ever use your bullpen day as a day in the game? Because, I mean, I've seen guys that they were live, but they were a bullpen live type of thing.
Yeah,
where they
I-
sat out there all 9 innings, and if you get into a situation,
I've
maybe
used
come
my
in.
bullpen day as a game day. Not happily. My ERA usually went up a great deal. So throwing it every 5 days on day, well, I like to throw mine on day 3. So, I'm
So is
throwing
that
on day
frowned
2.
upon? If
Yes,
say
it's
he's-
frowned
So what
upon.
he's saying is something similar to that, where he's going to have to use them in the game on the weekend. Maybe the kid threw on a Saturday. Maybe he's going to have a Wednesday with a rec program, but he needs to come back for another tournament. What if he was on a bullpen day? Can you use him for 1 inning? Can you use him for?
Well, I think that's the point. I think if you threw a kid 30 pitches on a Wednesday, you could throw him 50, 60 pitches on a Saturday. But you couldn't throw him 50, 60, 80 pitches on a Wednesday and throw him 80, 90, you know.
Like, you know my son. I've seen him last year. I let him go 60 pitches in a game because we had nobody else to throw, and I can see the difference. Once he hit the 50 pitch mark, those last 10 pitches were all over.
Yeah.
It's like he just lost all energy.
On a 7, basically you're talking about on a 7-day rotation, throwing a live bullpen at 20, 30 pitches on a Wednesday. I would see no problem with that, to come back and throw 40, 50
Those days
pitches.
They could throw flat ground.
Yeah,
nice and easy.
absolutely. And that's something like, listen, guys, we can't, and I say this to kids all the time, you need to watch them throw their flat ground. I can't throw it for them. If they're overextending their arm in their flat ground, it's going to hurt them. You know, you need to make sure they completely understand your flat ground is not for your arm. You stay nice and easy with your arm, hit your spots. It's more the mental side of it, executing a throw. You need to watch them.
I have one other question. For a kid that's a reliever, average 20 pitch guy, how do you work that during the week? Or does he prepare any differently than?
Yes. The short answer is yes. So, like anything else, we condition ourselves for our job. So relievers condition themselves quite a bit differently than a starting pitcher does. So a starting pitcher is conditioning themselves for longevity. They have a long time to recover. They overextend themselves, they're out. That was the routine I gave you earlier. So now we're talking about a guy who might pitch 20 innings every other day, every 3 days,
20 pitches every other game, maybe.
every other.
An inning, maybe 2.
But define when the games are. Do it in days.
Say Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Okay, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 20 pitches each day, right? Okay, perfect. So they get loose, little flat ground, they throw their 20 pitches. Next day is a light day, so they probably want to stay pretty light, get nice little flat ground. Next day, little flat ground, get loose, ready for the game, throw your 20 pitches. Light the next 2 days with light flat ground, then they're ready for their, and
So move the routine the same between all 3
Yes. So in preseason, you would want to kind of start doing that in preseason too.
I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
Something not quite the same, but something
Yeah.
similar, because we're doing a lot of the conditioning stuff with the body blade and the gyro and stuff like that.
Yeah, because in the starters, you want to condition more in the long set. But yeah, that's how I would go about it.
Back to that hypothetical, like a 9-year-old, 80 pitches on Wednesday. What are you comfortable with on the weekend, Saturday, let's say?
So they would
80
throw
on Wednesday,
80 on Wednesday.
nothing on Saturday?
What would I be comfortable with on Saturday?
Probably nothing.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I'm giving him the day
Yeah,
off.
80.
Just saying.
80.
That's
Yeah,
just
I don't
me.
think I would think about 50 would be my point.
Yeah, he's gonna.
Football in high school.
He's gonna play first base. He's gonna either sit down, maybe take a swing. Yeah. He might have the day off for me.
70 pitches in high school, you need
You know what it is? Yeah, at that point, it's the kid's so young. It's not even about an arm injury per se. It's about the longevity, like the kid's life and what he's going to do ahead of him. And there's really no reason to sit there and overuse a kid at that age. You want them to.
Tell me, if he threw 20 pitches on Monday, he could throw 20 pitches on Tuesday or Wednesday again. He could still throw. I'm like, I'd rather not see him.
Yeah, he could. It's just
Yeah,
right,
I'd rather
right.
see the kid get at least a day rest. Well, it's minimal, like, let's get one day between.
But why? Professional pitchers, if they throw 20 pitches, they're probably down the next day, unless you're a closer, and then it's still question mark.
Yeah.
I mean, usually, if you throw 10, 12 pitches, all right, you're good to go the next day. You throw another 10 or 12, you might be good to go the third day, but you probably are going to get a day off. So, I mean, just what do you have to, I guess that's the real question. What do you have to gain by pitching a kid 20 pitches and then 20 pitches the next day? What do you have to gain? A win?
Yeah.
Again, we just talked about that. What does that mean? They won an 8U game.
Some of the problem is, and he kind of said it under his breath, but it's true, especially nowadays in a lot of rec programs and everything in towns, is they don't have enough arms. They just don't have enough guys that can just throw strikes.
But we just,
You
but we
just-
talked
you don't
about
have a
how we
choice.
do that, right? We just talked about how we do that.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm saying, but then it's also about spanning out to every single community in the entire country and figuring it out. That's not a reality either. So when they are put in a pickle where they don't have an arm,
That's how my son got into pitching. He was only reaching from third to first, and they said, "Can we try him?" And I was like, "I'll more paranoid."
But again, it goes back to we don't have an arm. Well, what do you mean? You got 12 players.
Yeah.
Put someone in. Well, you're going to lose the game. Who cares? Who cares? We didn't hurt a kid. We didn't put a kid in jeopardy, which at that age is what matters. Yes.
Just for me, I coach both town travel as well as the rec.
Age.
But right now, even if I start out really,
It's important because there's really a difference in age groups depending on my answer to some.
so I feel Coach Obama still developing, just learning how to throw. When I get my whole travel team to the pitch, we all train together, whether they're good or not. Because eventually, when you go to the rec level, they're all separated, different teams. They're probably going to pitch in rec. Right? They're probably not going to have an opportunity to pitch in travel game, but they're definitely going to pitch sometimes in rec. So, but two things: one, they learn how to throw because pitching is discipline, and two, it could be another arm down the road. Absolutely. So that's what we do is we develop a lot of pitchers.
Absolutely. Here's a question, and this isn't a factual, but here'd be very interesting. I got an idea. So we're going to poll every single professional baseball player in this country. How many of them do you think pitched in Little League?
Every single one.
Probably above 90%.
well, yeah.
Probably above 90%. Guys, pitching at a young age is just being athletic, like we talked about. It's a form of the game that you're going to have to act on each level that you progress. How hard do catchers throw in the big leagues? 90 miles an hour? Well, I bet they pitch somewhere along the way. So, yes.
I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Did you start off as a pitcher going into the minors?
Yes.
What position?
No.
Did you convert to?
In high school, I was pitcher, third baseman. I could hit. I wanted to hit in college, like all pitchers can hit.
Whoa, wait
and
a
are the best
no,
athletes in the
no.
world. But
Not buying that one. Not all.
at that time, I had to focus on pitching, and that was where my future lied. So basically, that decision was made for me as a Division I college player. That's a great question. Leading into that is, Kids don't have to choose the position will eventually choose them if they get far enough. Like, they're not gonna have a choice. With Otani, I mean, let's be honest. That's gonna be, in my humble opinion, that is going to be short-lived. Yeah. It will be one way or another. The first time he gets injured on one or the other again,
yeah.
probably that experiment might be over. But, amazing athlete, you know. We'll see. Time will tell on that. See, I'm a fan still. I have the feelings.
I couldn't have said it any better, though. The position chooses you. That's a great way to put it. And every single college recruiter or coach, you know, I recruited 13 years in college. You don't go out there looking for a right fielder. Like, we just don't do it. Like, if you find a guy his size playing lefty first baseman, okay, it's a no-brainer. We pick that guy. But overall, we go right down the middle of the field because we know the best athletes are right down the middle of the field. And then if I take a shortstop, I'm like, all right, well, he could play third, short, and so on. You know, with me, I stopped growing when I was young. Never kept sprouting. You know, so when I got to the higher levels, second base. They didn't care what I threw. I could throw a ball 87 miles an hour. It's not hard enough. That's why they moved me to second base. You know, I played third base at college, but I was at a Division III school, and we had two amazing athletes up the middle, and nobody could play third, so they threw me over there. But once I got the pro ball, not even a question. All the third basemen and shortstops looked like him. I was like, all right. So they put the little guy over at second base, and I loved it. Wouldn't have traded it for nothing, you know? I tell a story where I went out to Kansas to play in '99. Adam LaRoche was my first baseman. Chris Maples played AAA with Detroit Tigers, was my second baseman. Russ Adams played big leagues, Toronto Blue Jays shortstop. He was my shortstop, and I forget the big dude's name from University of Texas. I don't know where the heck he went. But that was my infield. I was a Division III baseball player, 5'0", 170 pounds maybe. And I got out there, and the coach goes, hey, Conway, can you play left field? Yes, I can. yes, I can. I had an infielder's mitt about 10 3/4 inches. I ran out to left field. I knew that was the only way I was getting out there. And I played, it was the first time I ever played outfield. I mean, maybe in Little League, I don't remember it. First time I ever played left field, any outfield in my life. I still have a scar because I dove underneath the chain link fence, but don't tell anybody that. But I got out there, I played, and I knew I was going to get in the lineup every day. And then the kid from second base ended up going down. I ended up beating Adam LaRoche in home runs that season, just so you guys know. And I played every day after that. That was it. But yeah, that's the value of really knowing the positions. Like we didn't have that growing up. It wasn't a value to it. It was more of like, hey, you should learn every position. Now there's such a value to it where even on the draft board, like it's, oh, he played so-and-so at this level, he played so-and-so at this level, the kid knows how to play everywhere. It's a no-brainer, you know, and I tell everybody at the college level, we go out, if we're going out looking for a catcher, and we say, okay, what other positions do you play? And the catcher says, this is all I play. Well, what the heck, you can't play first base or third base? Are you an athlete? Can you move? Does he have good feet? And you got to look at all these different things. But, you know, if you have a third baseman that says, oh, I caught before too. Okay, well, now I can use him in different aspects of maybe he's a backup guy. Maybe I work with him a little bit on his footwork. Maybe he becomes a starting catcher. But even how many catchers did you guys have at UVM on the roster?
4 or
Yeah,
5.
it's never 2. It's always 3, at least 3, 4 or 5 catchers, because you need guys warming up in the bullpen. You need guys doing different work. There's always a position for them.
Those catchers all played other positions.
That's what I was going to say. Because the value involved in it, and the one was he your starter? No, he was just the guy.
Beat out by one of the others.
And what happened then? And what happened then?
He couldn't hit it. He had no other position to go to. So
And that's the value of it all.